What's up, YouTubers? How's that for an intro? The old phone fade. We're working on it. Working on clarity. It just keeps getting a little better. Okay, so we got multi-device. We got this thing. We got our magnet buddy. But we also got this deal here. So we can set her over there. So that's what's going on. This one missed a couple gauges. But it's a little bit newer. It's got the things over here. And the digital dash, which is, I prefer the analog. And the truck does look cool. It's got the fancy lights and stuff. I'll do a picture of it probably for the thumbnail, I guess. But this right here is redneck editing. The overwhelming, deafening silence of being alone, of being in the wilderness. You know what I mean? Who all do we know that has been in the wilderness? You know, they just that season of alone. Oh man, some of the best times of my life. I was stranded, alone, weak, abandoned. Putting on a show like I was tough, knowing that I was not. But it was in those moments when I was at the end of myself, and I just had to cry out. I was too ignorant to even know to cry out and say, God help me. Don't do that. Go ahead and ask him. When you're alone and it's quiet, read your Bible. When you're struggling, make time to get alone with God. Make time for that. It's a special time. I mean, Moses, 40 years in the wilderness. David running from King Saul. Abram had a voice in his head. It's like, get out of town. He just followed it. The wilderness season. We're separated from comfort, family, friends, knowledge of there's somebody in the other room. I can call on this person if I need help. I've fallen and I can't get up. Paul was told by God, I mean, he prayed 3 times to remove the thorn in his side, and that can be taken in various ways. It's highly debatable. Whether it's physical illness or spiritual or just like an opponent, you know, trying to thwart your efforts, whatever wilderness you're in, whatever thorn is in your side, just remember that God said His grace is sufficient. And in the weakness, in my weakness, He is strong. So I get on here and I say a lot of stuff. I seem confident wherever I can. And I'm confident I'm going to mess it up. But I know God's got my back. I know that. I know that just beyond surrender is rescue. At the end of discipline, there's necessity. Okay, so I wanted to. At the end of ability is rescue, right? So we can be confident that God's got our back because He's had our back all this time. Like, what has God done for you in your life? You need to take an inventory of that. Like, your inventory is incredibly necessary to run your business. Okay, so your internal inventory, these huge problems stand out, and you'll have trauma and PTSD and shell shocked, all these different things because they're so bad, right? And then, like, I mean, you'll be thinking about stuff in the past, and it's real hard to think about the good stuff, right? So you have got to list the wins. You have got to take these small victories and list them. Like the if you'll just well, Dennis always says, oh, it's a gold star day, you know, and oh, well, Jesus had this victory and this victory and that victory, and then when you hear what he's saying, it's pretty mundane. It's not, you know, Lazarus come out or whatever. You know, it's I had this day my daily bread. You know what I mean? And that inventory list is your appreciation. You know what I mean? Your gratitude, your appreciation, count your blessings is the overlooked basic that is the root of 80% of the need for psychiatrists in the United States. The other 20% is chemical imbalances due to malnutrition, due to the food is garbage. If you can even call it food. You know what I mean? Everybody's worried about kosher diet or not. I'm just like, you know, is there glycosulfate in this? You know, some type of cancerous chemical to make it bright colors or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, you guys over here worried about bacon and, you know, ham. You know what I mean? I'm like, well, you know, China does run all of America's pork production. So, so at the end of yourself, when you're weak, he is strong. You know what I mean? So like I'm doing my discipline, and the necessity kicks me in the tail. So I have to do these things. Like if I don't go to work this week, I can't have electricity. And my wife's going to kill me if she has to, you know, live by candlelight. And in the early years, it was like that a lot. There was hard times. It was hard times. They say it's hard times now, but it's all age and stage. You know what I'm saying? So your age and stage is critical. It's critical development that you have discipline, so you're not forced into necessity. And then identify your weaknesses and embrace the fact that God's going to be there for you in those weaknesses. You know, I was in between places to live and way away from all my resource. And I had been deathly ill off and on for some months. And I found myself walking around Tulsa. And I was just like, you know, let's just go ahead and like live the homeless life for a couple days. And every time I'd sit down somewhere, the cops would stop. They'd be like, hey, you can't sit here. You got to move around. So there was just like constant walking all night. And then I walked down there to Salvation Army, see how they live, how they eat, whatever, what's going on there. And these kids from ORU, Oral Roberts University, I say kids, they could have been 15, they could have been 25, I don't know. But these little girls was up there, and this was the second day I was kind of in the area, and that lady was in that wheelchair out there with her sign or whatever, you know, trying to, you know, get by. And then every time the church would open up, they'd go in there to the church. I mean, this place it's so broke they don't have a cross on the wall. You know what I mean? Like, it is the chapel at the Salvation Army in Tulsa, Oklahoma. It is not fancy, and you are eating leftovers that might have mold on it. Anyway, you'll pray with an intensity that you don't have at the average eating establishment. So this old lady, she gets wheeled up there, The little girls prayed for her. She got up, she danced around, ran around the room, and I looked, man. I was like, because I'm super skeptical. So I'm like, what kind of show is this? Like who's filming this? You know what I mean? You know, what's going on here? You know, how are they using this to try to, you know, work an angle on whoever? And I looked every which way, and I was just like, this is it. I seen the lady for days. I knew that she was invalid, not to what degree or whatever, but yeah. So they prayed for her, and she got healed, and it was bona fide. And it was just like, so, you know, unmistakable, you know what I mean? And here I was, you know, but it was my weakness. I was in a season that was bad, and I had been a jerk. And it just too stupid to go home. And, you know, and then, you know, back in the woods, this is a long time ago, back in the woods, everybody around there wasn't no work, so it didn't make no sense to go back over there. But there was work in Tulsa. I just, you know, I was just going to take a minute to get on my feet. And in that weakness, he gave me that. He allowed me to be there to see that was possible. Because at that time, at my age and stage then, I had experienced many miracles, but I was just like in shock from it. You know what I mean? Like I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what was I don't know what to do with my hands. You know what I mean? And that's kind of my thing. Like I'll just in the extreme events, I just watch what's going on and just act appropriate. You know, whether it's a car wreck, fire, you know, you're getting shot at, whatever. Something in me kicks in. I don't know how to explain it, but that kicked in that moment because it was real. You know what I mean? And so I'm like, looking, what angle are they? You know, how they try to get me because I'm paranoid like that. And there was nothing. But that was my weakness. You know what I mean? It took my weakness of being homeless to be able to see the miracle. Just to be in the right place at the right time. A couple days later, I went to a church and wound up washing the preacher's feet. Which, if you don't know what that is, Jesus, he got a towel and he washed the feet of the disciples, because that was their custom. Was everybody wore sandals? They didn't have socks. So when you go to somebody's house and have water and everything, it's customary. Don't just take your shoes off, but wash your feet off before you come in here, because we all sit on the floor, so we want to keep the floor nice. So the floor is the couch, so wash your feet. And people with money had somebody that would wash feet, so that was the servant. So Jesus, being the servant leader, washed the feet of the disciples. There's some kind of blessing that's as you humble yourself to do that. I highly recommend that you wash somebody's feet appropriately, you know what I mean? And anyway, well, I went up going to this deal or whatever like that, and they're like, hey, we're washing feet. I was like, cool, man, can I wash your feet? He said, only if I can wash yours. I was like, all right then. You know what I mean? And it's weird if you don't know what's going on. And then, like, I think it can get messed up if you ain't careful. But anyway, I washed this dude's feet. He washed my feet. Then the next day I got a good job. Or whatever. I forget the particulars. But I've been wanting to do this deal where I go back over these long videos and do the nuance stuff. And try to stay more focused. You know, the wilderness experience. You're on your own, you're down and out, you're living in the back of the business or whatever, you know what I mean? Like you live where you work in the broom closet like Joe Dirt or whatever, you know what I mean? It's hard out there, you know, you're living in your car, you know. Being that I'm like in the truck right now, and I'm in the parking lot, and like everything was against me to be late, so I had to stay over, and now here it is, the Sabbath, and I'm able to go over this stuff. So I'm going to try to do some more of these and limit them to 15 minutes. So I'm going to get off here. Raquel, I hope you enjoy your wilderness. I'm being excited because, like, right at the end of you is rescue. At the end of you is rescue. So the rescue, your help is on the way. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's good. Rock Hill. Sing a song.